Hi everyone, I'm Carly from Carly's Creative Clay. I hope you've all had a good week. This is what we made last time I was on the stream, and I wanted just to show you how it turned out. Let me get the stand out the way. Right, we made a Highland cow, and I chose to only varnish the eyes, nose, the greenery and the horns, and keep the face and hair as is. I really am pleased with how it turned out. I've had it suggested to me from Charlie Star that I should make a rainbow coloured one, and I really think I will do it some wins.
Something is killing our internet.
Is something killing our internet? Oh dear.
It's just running really badly.
Well, shall I carry on? And
Keep going.
yeah, right. Now, where we got to with our fawn, if you want to see how we made all this, there's previous episodes on my YouTube channel. They're the only ones with without the new cover artwork for the thumbnail. I spent a lot of time over the last week updating it so that it all looks good. But the fawn project, well, you'll find with all the projects, I will wait until the end of the project to upload all the thumbnail pictures and make a YouTube playlist of them. It's so that with the cover art I can put the finished picture alongside the progress one. So this is where we got to. Done the arms, legs, base. Jewellery I did do off of camera because I got really bored and fancied doing it. But you can just decorate it however you want or have it without. I have put a few little highlights of some light paint because I felt its legs looked pretty uniform colour scheme wise. That is literally just coming in with a lighter brown and putting a few little flecks in. But I wanted it dry before I started making the head and face, so I did it off camera. Other than that, this is where we're getting to. Now, you know how I always say I hate measuring and I always just eyeball it? Well, I'm going to try and do a face that I found offline. So whoever this guy is, I'm really thankful. I'm going to try and base my fawn off you. There is a better looking image if you would like to bring that up. That's it very clearly. You can see this one, A, looks a bit faded, and B, has two stains there and there. I managed to tip an entire flask of coffee over my work desk. Was it 2 days ago? It was a big old clean up. But I'm kept with this. Right, can you bring that down? Because if you see, it's too bright. I've written measurements all over it. And what I've taken it from is we rescaled the head to a size that I think would look right on that body. See? Let's fold that bottom bit up. Whoop. So that doesn't look wrong. Then I've taken measurements from that little head. Now, Jamie bought me an amazing new caliper. So how you work these is there's an on-off button there. You click it to 0, then you move it to whatever you're measuring. Once you've got it snugly between the two prongs, teeth, whatever, you turn this and it tightens it so that you can't move that around accidentally, and then you can take it and read what the measurement is, and it's in millimeters, and it goes all the way up to, where are we, 154 millimeters, well 154.62. So it's quite good, and so far they seem to be pretty accurate. Now the measurements I've taken are all the ones going top to bottom. So head height, where the nose is, and I've drawn them in on the big picture so I can see at a glance what the measurements are. Now, me and measurements aren't great friends, so it's possible I'll end up deviating and the guide does not look like this. But let's try. So, I'm starting out with the skin tone clay that I used for the rest of him. This is white, magenta, orange, small bit of brown and gold from the effects range, and it's that gold that gives it this really good tan colour. You'll find in women's bronzing powder they use gold mica, gives you a well sheen, so it works really well. So the first thing I'm gonna do is, let's turn this off because I don't want to waste the battery. Because they're new, I've got to remember to keep doing that. First I'm going to do is get a necking on him. So I've just taken a bit of clay. I think it's going to be too small for the whole thing, but I'm going to add to it. And what I'm going to do is wedge that clay over the little loop that we got. Now again, make sure you've baked your model before you've done this, because you'll just be smudging everything. Hi little, welcome, it's lovely. Don't worry, it's fine that you're late, it's all good.
Yeah, our video's running quite badly.
Our video's running quite badly. So can you see, I tried to make sure I didn't trap any air, and I've just put it over. Now, the first thing to do is address the joint around the bottom, because that will secure your blob of clay into place. So I get my box of my favourite tools, which are all of these in my dragon cup. Right, what I want is something that I can use to roll it down the sides. That'll do fine. Anything with a straight bit of metal is the first thing I do, and I'm just making sure it's pushed against the baked clay like that. I think actually, let's get a ball tool in here, that's usually helpful. Here we go, my favourite one. Now don't try and find one that's pink with all this around it. It's because my wooden one broke and I clay covered it. What was that about?
Little said, oh no, sorry.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry about what?
Little
About
said,
the...
darn, I'm late again, hello all, and then next
Uh,
thing is, oh no, sorry.
If it's about the frame dropout, yeah, these things just happen. We just try and live with them. But let me know if it gets too bad for you. I'm just pushing the raw clay onto the baked clay and just starting to seal
And we could just quickly restart the
an
stream.
edge. Yeah, if it gets too bad, we can come off stream, run an actual cable, and then restart the stream.
I think I might do that because it's
But then we've got to cut all this lot together afterwards.
yeah, we've got a recording.
Cool. Well, can you see it? I'm just coming along with my ball tool and pushing in.
Let me focus.
Let's focus. Pushing in along that join line. I'm not worried.
Little says, oh sorry, your video. Yeah, saying sorry about our video.
Yeah. I'm not worried about the neck shape yet. I'm just worried about getting that join line. And the best tool I find is coming along with your fingers and thumb and just smudging it in. So let's bring it up and I do it on here. Just smudging it in. Now the reason why I focus on this bit first is we're going to pull the raw clay around quite a lot to make it into a head. We want it securely attached to the rest of the body before we do that, or we'll just end up pulling it straight off. Then you've got to smudge it again to get it firmly attached and ruin all your work. So I take time and I come in. Now if your fingers are too chunky to get into bits, just come in with either a rubber tool or a ball tool. We've got all sorts of, that's why I got lots of tools. You can do with a lot less, but it just gives you more options. If you want to see the kind of tools that I buy, I made a video for beginners, and one of the things I talk about is the different craft terms that you can put into search engines, and their tools are actually helpful for polymer clay.
Turns out it was your feedback monitor.
My
It
what?
must be connecting incorrectly. This thing.
Jamie's sorting out some technical issues whilst I'm carrying on.
Just that, can I see this feedback screen?
Sorry about this, guys.
Hey, the frame rate should have picked up.
But the frame rate should have picked up apparently. Right. I'll keep fiddling with this whilst Jamie's just getting it working properly, and then I will go on to the next step when I know that everyone's watching properly, yeah?
They can see properly now.
You can see properly now?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. I'll smooth that in a little more when I come in back in to do the neck detail. But what I'm going to start with is I'm going to push around the neck to get it to a thickness that I want. And I'm pushing the excess clay upwards towards the head. Like so. Now, that neck is sticking out a bit there. You're just going around and you're pinching and pulling, and you're starting to line it up with the rest of the body. Like so. Now, first thing I want to put in is that little dent for the spine. Like that. And you'll need to come in with your fingers and just smooth out that line.
It's not solved it now.
So like that. So can you see? Right, we're down to the back of the head. Now we're probably going to end up covering that in hair anyway, but it's a good thing to actually have. Where did I put my Action Man doll? Because that also helps me give me a look. For him, he's not really got much neck detail at all. So what I find is you pinch along the edge to make the tendons that are down the side of the neck. And someone who's this muscly will probably have that sort of look going on. Then we're going to bring the front in like that. We need to format an Adam's apple. So I'm just starting to divide that out using my ball tool. So like so. And what I'm doing is pushing clay back from around it. I know it looks weird because we've not got a head in yet, but that is absolutely fine. I may even just add clay on for that. Might be easier. So, but it depends. Come round, have a little fiddle and see what you can do. Because when we make the chin, actually no, this is working out alright. When we come in with the chin, it's gonna go over that little Adam's apple there, so it's easier to form it pre-chin, if that makes any sense. I've got to smooth this in because it doesn't look right. You're not the right tool for the job there. Like so. And baked clay smudges onto raw clay smudges onto baked clay very well. So you do find that it's not such a big deal. They do something called bake and bond, but it's for Sculpey, and it's like a liquid that you put a fine layer on, and you then end up with a better bond when it bakes. I find doing things like that, it makes the surface more slippery, and I don't get such a good fade in of the baked clay and the raw clay, and it just smudges up, which I'm not happy with. So I tend to just use it as is, and I've never found a real problem with it. I don't find that it breaks. Right, I will fiddle with that a bit more when I get off camera probably. Now we're gonna add some more clay to get this head size right. But I reckon we've got a decently chunky thick neck, like so. Right, I'm just bringing that ball slightly further forward. I'm going to have to clean this up. I can already see I've got bits of actually baked brown clay from the legs where I keep holding it. Now, let's see, can I get this necklace on at this stage? It's better to put it on and then shape the face. Whoop, because I knew I was going to dent that ball of clay. You can see I'm not that organised. There we go. Right, that's on. Like so. Now I can start shaping the face, knowing that I haven't got to get that over the head. Right, so first measurement is the height. Now from that hairline there to the bottom of his chin is 32 millimeters, so that's the kind of height we're going for. But he has his mouth open, and when you open your mouth, that extends your jaw height. So what I need to know is what is his head height with his mouth shut. So what I've done is measure from the top lip to the bottom lip, and that's 3.2 millimeters. So deducting the head height with his mouth open, deducting that mouth amount, that gives you, where are we? Mouth closed head height is 28.98. So that's the kind of height we're going to be looking for our clay blob. So let's put this on, bring it up, and it just gives me an idea of, let's loosen that. So what did we say? 28.98, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 8 point. So there is a lot of, you see why it overshoots. 8, 9, no, okay. Overshoots very, very easily. There we go. Lock that off. So that gives me an idea on what sort of head size. I need to go up a lot more there. So that means we're going to put some clay. Now, what I find easiest is you form it into a ball, and then you form that ball into a disc and wrap the disc around. So then you're not smoothing in a join line that's under the chin, which can be pretty tricky to get into. So can you see I'm not taking from the height, I'm just pinching around the edge. So it's thicker in the middle, but the pinched in edge is easier to smooth in a thin join. So what you're looking for is that, like a domed shape, and you put that on the top and then use your fingers to wrap it around like so. Make sure you're not trapping any air bubbles. So this is what we got. That's far easier to smooth in along there than it is to try and get underneath. And I know you think there's not enough clay for a chin yet, but we're going to move the clay around to get it where we want it. So come in with your thumb, smooth in that join line. Whoop. Try not to dig your necklace into your neck too much.
Sorry, you haven't got feedback, sorry.
Here we go, like so. Now, I know it looks a bit misshapen, that's fine. We can come in and work on the shape now. This necklace is going to drive me nuts before we're finished, isn't it? It was such a good idea at the time. I was smoothing that neck after I finished making the face, I think. Then I can make the necklace lay where I want it. Come in under here. I'll show you in a second. I'm literally just smoothing in that join line. There we go. Right. So now it's pretty much smoothed in, apart from up the back here, which I just noticed I missed. Like that. Now we can start to get the height and the shape that we want. So I'm bringing the clay up higher, more flat towards the front, so it's more of a face shape, and bringing in the chin, so you're getting more of an oval shape, egg type look, if that makes sense. And then what I can do, once I've got a rough sort of shape that I think looks right, I can then come and measure it and see what I think there. What tool would be best? Let's come in with the metal here. I'm just trying to pronounce the neck a bit more. Like that. Right, that is more of a head shape. So let's see if it's the right sort of size. It's looking kind of right to me. Right, let's see, height wise it's a little tall, so bring it down, bring it out. You can always also cut clay off. If you think you've got a bit too much, come in with your, where's my X-Acto knife, like this, and you can just watch your thumb, but I'm supporting the clay as I cut, like so. And just take little bits off until you think it's right, and then come in and start to tap it back into shape, like so.
I think I need to set it up because you're using the desk because we haven't got the camera thing.
Now, just bringing that head back into more of an oval, like so. Right, we're getting that head shape right. Okay, this neck is terrible, I'm aware of it, I'll sort it out in a bit. Its only reason why the neck's gone so bad is because I have put a wire necklace on it, which is my own fault. Of all the ways I thought this would go wrong today, which were many, didn't actually put that one in my list. Live and learn, eh? Right, I'm just trying to pronounce that chin into more of that teardrop shape. Palette knife would also do that fine. There we are. That's what I'm wanting. Like that. Does take a bit of fiddling around. Now, if you bring the back of the head into a slight bold shape, that is more correct. So, like that. Yeah? So, we're at a head shape that's securely on, and you can feel if there's any big air bubbles in there. If there are, use a needle, stab through, push it flat to try and get rid of them, and then smooth it back over. So let's see now. Still a little too tall, so I'm gonna, that's the line it says. So if I take it off from here, that should work. That's, yeah, okay. Right, width of the head. Did I even do that? I should have done that. Yeah, I did. 21.53. So I'm just making sure that now my head is at the right height, that it's at the right width. There we are. Yeah. Roughly. That's roughly right. Maybe a little narrower. I can do that. You see why I try to eyeball it all the time? Because then I haven't got to come in and strip bits off. Like that. But proper model makers, they don't. They make it all exactly to scale. It's incredible. And yes, I know I'm a proper model maker too, but there are people who don't try it for the first time on camera. They've done this for years and can literally make your head photo perfect, which is nice. And I can get there. First stage is taking ages, fluffing around, getting your head size right. Talking of something that took ages, one of the other jobs that I did was taking all of my chalk, all of my, what are they? Chalk pastels, that's the word I'm looking for. cleaned them all up and put them in individual bags because they were just literally a complete mess. Right, now that head size should be actually what the measurement says. So let's get a chin going on there and then get a face shape that doesn't look like a weird alien, which is always useful. So come in like that, come in like that, and bring that head forward and down and face up. You spend a lot of time fiddling when you're sculpting, I tell you, really do. Right, finessing. Like that. Right, there we go. That looks kind of right face wise. What do you think? I think I'll end up thinning that neck out a bit, but yeah? Jamie, do you reckon?
Looks good to me. Well,
Yeah? What do you guys think? So, the first thing to do is to get those eyes in. Right, what I've got is something called a diamond painting pen, and it is really useful for this. So, first off, we've got some little tiny glass eyes, and I hold it up to the camera. I don't know if you can see. Just focusing. They're clear eyes with little black dots in it. So the first thing I need to do is be able to put some white behind those eyes. So let's measure halfway up that head. So where are we? That should be 28. Yep, so halfway would mean the eyes are at 17. So let's go 16, 17. I promise this is probably the last time I'm going to be doing this level of accuracy on screen. 17. Right, so from chin, and you use this just to mark in where your eyes are going to be. Like so. So then what I can do is come in and get, cat's been in here, there's hair on it, 2 little dots of white, and put them where we want the eyes. So 2 balls, the same size, that might even be a bit big. Let's chop that in half. 2 little balls. Then we're going to put them evenly spaced apart on that line, like so. Now fiddle around and get it so that these are where you want them before you push them in place. I think that's probably good enough for me. So we're going to get these little eyes, and what you get is the they call it pen mud. If you put in 3D diamond painting or just diamond painting pen and diamond painting pen mud, can you see it sticks? So then I'm able to come in and really be certain about where I'm placing that eye, like that. And again, pick it up with your pen, come in, and this way you can, the angle you put your eye in at is where it's going to be looking, so you can end up with some very straight eyes. The other tool I've got that helps me with this, it's a tiny little spirit level, so I'm just going to make sure, rest those on. Yeah, that's pretty level. Two little tools to get level eyes. Put in tiny spirit level. Now, can you see what the white backing has done? It's actually made those eyes look far more realistic. If you left it clear, it would be the pink behind that you'd see. So, let's get some eyelids on. And then I come in and do nose. So, very small, tiny little pinches. Can you focus it? Of clay? Yeah? You need 4 of them. You're a bit small. There we go, that should be better. And the bigger the model you make, the more easy it is to make all these little details. But the problem is, then you end up with a massive statue. So you've got to know your audience and people who you're giving it to or who will potentially buy it. And most people don't have room in their house for massive art installations. If you're fortunate enough to get to display in an art gallery, I mean, epic good on you, because that is pretty hard to do. Right, I'm just going to get the clay off my hands, because if your hands are sticky, you're going to find it really hard shaping these. So what we need, let's turn this off. Right, the two that are the biggest, because there'll always be ones that aren't, they're not exactly the same size. The 2 smallest ones, you're going to bring out into a little sausage. Like that. Yeah, very small. And the ends are tapered to points. Okay? So do that with 2 of them. And you need it to be the width of the eye. These are going to be your underlids. So, like that. Now, you can pick them up with a ball tool or a pen or anything you want. But what you're going to do, let's hold it up. Whoop. Under the eye. There. See? And then use your ball tool to bring it up into the corner and up into the other corner. Like that. Now, sorry, there you go, time to focus it. So it's almost like a spectacle under the eye. Once you got that actually in place, then we can come in with smaller ball tools, smooth it out along the bottom join, so it looks like it's part of the face rather than just attached to it. And for me, I need to use some pretty small ball tools for that. And the other thing you'll find it does is it starts to actually bring that bottom eyelid up a bit. I'm just doing that with my thumb as well, just so that it encloses the under eye a bit more, because if you see, he's got his eyes quite squinty. So like that. Yeah, I'll do the same for the other eye. Let's do that quickly. In place, in the middle, underneath. Let's smooth it in so that it joins. Like that. And then use my thumb to thin out the eyelid and bring it up. Right. So we've got 2 under eyes done now. Yeah. Now for the top eyelid. This one, we're going to flatten the bottle so it's like a little disc. Like that. But bring it in quite thin. Sorry. Then you're going to use your thumb along one side of the ball, get your finger on the other side and that thumb on that side, and just pull the corners down over your thumb to make that sort of top eyelid shape, and then push that flat so it's thin enough to actually be a top eyelid. Make sure the corners are pinched in. So that's what you end up with. Yeah, looks like a crescent moon. You want 2 of those, so pinch it flat, use your thumb and your finger and either your other thumb or your finger to pull the other side down to get that crescent moon, like so. Then we're putting that on the top eyelid. Now you want to start with the highest point of the eyelid, which is in the middle, and put that in place there, like so. So kind of droopy eyed still because we haven't brought the edges around. You're going to use your ball tool to come in and just bring those edges around into place, like so. Then the small one to smooth it in and get it to sit exactly where you want, like that. Let's get that join away around the back edge. There we go. Right, so we're now at that. Sorry, there we go. Like so. And I put the next one in the same. So you can pick them up with your ball tool and put them in that way. But you can't with the glass beads because they're not sticky. But raw clay is definitely sticky.
Handy.
Right. There we are. That's what I was looking for. Into place, like so. I will hold it up and show you as soon as I've got it to the stage the other one's at. Right. Like that. Now, I need to put in a lot more crease lines along them and to bring them out, but they're in a good holding position to put a nose in. But I think I'm going to open this mouth up first. What I'm going to use is probably this tool. I'm going to come in. Let's narrow his face a little. I think it's a bit too wide. Like that. Come in down the bottom here and just start to put a slit in like that. Then we can start to shape it. Like so. I will be putting lips on it and stuff like that, but I want to first just get that smile in. Because he's laughing. There we are. That kind of look, yeah? Oh, you got a crease in your chin. That's better. Right, like that. Now, I get that looks creepy. We're not staying with this. It's gonna be a build up. Don't worry. Let's get that nose in first. Now you can measure out a bit of clay or you can eyeball it. Because now you've got the other features in, this is a lot easier to eyeball. So I reckon that really does look like around the right amount. What I do, form a ball, then you want to form a teardrop like that. You're going to flatten that teardrop at the bottom and push it back so that it's almost like an L shape, like that. See, yeah, that makes sense. Then the flat bottom goes down the bottom and the point goes to the top between the eyes. Now I've got to get this lined up and then I'll show you, because you've got to hold it in front of you so you don't end up with the nose too far to one side. That looks right. Okay, see? Already it looks better with that on, doesn't it? So, like I say, with all your joining, first stage, smoothing those edges. And do pay attention that you're not messing up the eye you just made. So be careful around that corner. But come in, use your ball tool and smooth it in. Now, do a little bit on one side, then turn it around and do a little bit on the other side, and it'll keep it central. If you try and smooth in all one side all at once, you will find that it actually starts going to one side, which is not what you want. Let's get rid of those cracks and those crease lines like that. So that's the start of it being smoothed in. See? Now we've got to come underneath and do that bottom line there. And again, be really careful that you're not distorting anything, but you are smoothing it all in like that. Now we can start to shape that nose. So first off, what will make a big difference is getting those nostrils in. I tend to either start with, I would start with the smallest ball tool. See, tiny ball, and you're going to hold it upside down, supporting the back with your fingers and the head, the back of the head on your palm like that, so that you can see.
You can't see because
but you can't see.
Sorry.
and we're going to go in with the first hole and bring it back towards the top lip, and I'll hold that up in a second. So can you see? Now that doesn't look right yet. What I'm going to do then is turn it upside back up the right way and come in from the underside and just start to shape that nose how I want by bringing it out to the side, by pushing sideways to make that little flare. If you find it easier to do that whilst it's upside down, do that. And smooth in extra clay into the top lip that comes out of that hole. So we're like that. I think I need to go a little further towards the tip and then I'll show you. Like that. There we are. That looks better. Sorry, sometimes you just got to get it in front of you or you're going to mess it up. So let's see. Oop, like that. Is that useful? And then it comes forward and like that. I know I've closed that eye a little more. I will come back and reopen that. But I'm going to just fiddle with the nose, get the bridge the right shape, define out that little bulge you just made, and get rid of some of these crinkle lines. So, like so. Give it a pinch. There we are. That's looking a little better. See? Like that. Now, if you're doing an old person, leaving these lines on the face is fine. Yes, I've got to reopen it back up and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But I'm just getting the nose right, and once I get the nose right I'll come back on that eye, or you're just going to knock your eye around again and have to re-straighten it, and that means you're doing it twice.
That does make sense.
Just smoothing out some of these little crease lines so that he doesn't look like an old man, he looks like a young man. If you want an old man, that is a thing. Crease lines are good. So let's get that nose. What do you reckon?
Looking good to me.
Yeah, looking right. So now we'll come back and readdress that eye. What I use is my blade, and I go into the eyelid and just push it open until it's where you want it. Now he's got a few little crease lines going on.
Are you worried about scratching your glass at all?
No, because you're not dragging the point, you're dragging the flat along the surface of the glass,
So you can't scratch it.
so you probably won't scratch it. Some of these little thin crease lines you can see in here, I'm going to use this tool. It is a felting needle and it's a lot thinner than a, where is my pin tool? There we are. That's the standard pin tool that you get from claying sets, and that's the felting needle.
Felting needle's triangular.
And the felting needle is actually triangle, so you've got 3 corners to it, whereas this is round, so you actually get a far better fine line with a felting needle. And what I'm going to come in, I'm going to put a few along the underline like that and a few down the sides. But you've got to be really careful and just hold it in front of you. And be very Try and steady up your hand a bit. If it goes wrong, you can always use your ball tool to smudge it back out, and it will be fine. And try again. Right, that I reckon it's looking like it, but it's not there yet. Those are the lines under one eye. Oop. Do you see what I mean? But I just want to bring that eyelid so that it's just looking a little less grumpy and a little more happy. And you get that just by the tiniest little finagles. Tiny, tiny, tiny movements from the eyelid clay until you just get it to a point where you're like, okay, this is the emotion that I was hoping for. So I reckon that eye looks kind of happy. Yeah, let's try and repeat it on the other side. So, dividing up that lower eyelid. The second of anything is always harder to do because you're trying to recreate almost exactly what you've got on the other side, which is not easy. Like that. That looks kind of like it. Let's pinch those together. So, see?
Can you give him teeth or?
Oh yeah, we got to do the whole mouth. I've just allotted space, that was all.
I just didn't know if
But
to expose teeth, maybe
we've got more to do. We've got a forehead, some cheeks, a mouth. So let's give it a bit more of a forehead. So what I tend to do is a little bit of clay into a semicircle, but along the bottom edge you're going to pinch it quite flat, like so. Yeah, and then that can go into place above the eyes, because if you notice, the forehead is actually level with your eyelids. So this stops you having such a flat face. Can you see? Once I get that all smoothed in,
could be
the actual,
a bit much, in fact, I don't know.
we've still got to smooth it all in, so that will vanish some of the clay out.
I'm not an artist, though, don't forget.
So just be careful that you don't mess up any of the details that you've already created, and come in and bring out that join line like this over the eye there. And you can end up using a ball tool that's too big for the job, so do have the whole range. They're really cheap. I think it's like £5 for the set, and you'll find them under cake decorating actually, which surprised me. But yeah, cake decorating, soap making, candle making, dentistry, clay work, polymer clay work are all terms which has tools that are actually useful, and things like felting and knitting and stuff like that. So just bringing that forehead join at the back into the rest of the head. Whoop. Like that. God, you've got a lot of wrinkles, mate. Let's see if we can sort some of these out. Right, but yeah, just adding that bit of forehead. Can you see what how much it's actually made the eyes look more correct? And if you've got too much, just push on it and it goes back. See?
Some of that will be hidden by hair eventually.
Yeah. I'm not so bothered about any of the back there because, like Jamie said, it's all going to be hidden with all his hair. What I do want is anything around the hairline and the front to be properly smoothed in. Now, one thing I would say about tools you get online, you have to give them a check, make sure that they've not got any bits sticking out of them that they shouldn't. Especially on that rubber tips where the mould has joined, they end up with a little extra bump and things like that that really are not actually going to help your work the way you thought it would. And I am aware metal ball tools do cause cracking in your clay joint, so you do tend to have to come over the top with another tool and just give it a little bit more smoothing. I find some of the rubber ones will get rid of the cracking caused by metal, but to be honest, the best thing is your hands. For that, I find your fingers and thumbs are just the best thing to smooth out with. Right, I'll smooth that in a little more. You can still see there's a bit of cracking going on, but I think the lighting's actually vanishing that out. Which is useful.
Let me turn the exposure down. That will give you more contrast.
So, oh, that is dark. But yeah, there we're at the moment. So, the next thing I want to give him is some cheekbones. So that, you're looking at just a little bit of clay, about that much. 2 of those. And form them into balls. Now, as you can see on the drawing, the cheekbone looks like a teardrop going into the side of the nose. So we form a teardrop, pinch the sides, push it a little flatter, like that. We want 2 of those, so let's do the second one. Whoop. The little bits being put off by the hair on the legs is so annoying.
Have you not found a way to...
Just come along, keep brushing it down with paintbrushes and come along at the end and clean it all up with rubbing alcohol. So, teardrop going into the nose and around the sides like that. See? That's your positioning. And you're mirroring the same thing on the other side. Under your eyes, into the nose. Maybe up a little. There we are. Yeah. That's more like it. That's what I want. That's the look. And we're going to smooth them in. So, support the back of the head. You don't want to keep pushing the head backwards and it end up literally going down the folding down the back of the actual model. So you just want to gently support it and push along those lines to start to smooth them in. Whoop. Be very, very careful around that nose flare. You will have to go down to a smaller ball to do it. And I know these cheeks look big, but we're gonna move the clay around once we got it smoothed in. Okay? So, do not worry. I know it looks a bit weird at the moment. And hey, if it ends up looking too weird at the end, it's not meant to be a human. So, that lets you get away with an awful lot. Yeah, it was meant to. I was trying to make it look more like a cryptid. Huh, were you? Yeah, honest. I am not at the stage where someone can hand me a photo of someone and I recreate it perfectly. I dream about that though. That would be so nice. There are people out there who can. I'd love to be formally trained. I can't find anyone that's teaching clay sculpting of humans in my area. So if you live around Epsom, Surrey, and you know anyone that actually teaches this, I would love to go and have a few lessons. Till then, I'm learning on my own, like always, which is my normal. So, that's them join in. Now we've got to make them not look so odd. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use hand at the back like I did, and then I'm going to push the clay into the shape and to lay where I want it to. And any excess I'll just smooth into the back like so. You may have to come back round again with some ball tools and get rid of some more join lines, but you will find it does vanish and lay right. Thank you all for being patient with the amount of fiddling I'm doing. Like so. You just think you got it and a new crack opens up near the nose.
It always takes fiddling, doesn't it?
Yeah. Right. Let's tidy up that line. If you are going for an older, you want to keep some more of these creases in. The younger the person you're making, the more you want to make the skin smooth. So this is going to be a lot of fiddling around to get it all as smooth as you want. But let's show you the difference in sides. Can you see that side? We've got more of a cheek than that looks more like a jowl, like a really big one. So you smooth it in and push it into shape. They're both the same amount of clay. Yeah? So let's do that on the other side. Push it flat, push it round the back. Get rid of such a strong diagonal line, so go around the edge like so. Right, fiddle fiddle fiddle, that's the name of it. And you'll find you get to a point, hopefully, where your fiddling comes up with a piece that you're happy with. So it's knowing when to carry on, when to stop, and what to actually do to repair things that are absolutely looking weird. There, that looks more like it. Right, let me hold it up. So, top of the face, so from there upwards, is looking much more there, don't you think? So now we're going to have to sort out that weird and creepy mouth. Right, first thing, sip a drink. Clean up my hands really well because we're going to go in with white. Because I want to get that line of top teeth in and then build up the lips around that. So we're back on our white again. Take a little bit, make sure it's conditioned well. You want to be able to maneuver this without cracking it. Now, that looks like too much. We want a real, just enough to half fill that space. So, what I'm going to do, where's my blade? Let's cut that down and start to shape it so that it's how I want. Probably a little bit more off the top there so that it's straight, and the corners are going to go slightly diagonal like that. I know it's hard to see on a white chopping board, but I will hold it up on my hands. Right, there we go.
Let me turn the exposure down. It goes really dark.
There we go. That's the better look. That's what you're aiming for. But it's too big for this mouth. Great. Yeah. Just got to keep resizing and make sure that it fits in the space how you want it. Like so. Whoop. As soon as I get it in, I will come and show you, I promise. I keep making it too tall, which is really not easy considering I've got to push it in place. So having it as a very small sliver is not going to be the simplest thing in the universe, but there we are. I think I'll use this to put it in. So what I've done is I picked it up on the side.
Focus it, but I would need to expose it as well.
Like that.
Give me a sec to focus.
And then I'm going to push the top edge against the top because we don't see any bottom teeth. Doesn't matter if it looks a little bit like that. I'm going to come in with my ball tool just to get it sitting right. Like that. There. Now don't forget we are building lips around all this, so it doesn't matter if it's too scruffy. But we need to come in now and divide out those teeth. So what I think is easiest is turn it upside down and use your felting needle, and you're going to be twisting it around so that you're not actually
using the side, not the tip.
You're using the side and not the tip, and you're not carving into the face, just the teeth. So it takes a little bit of finagling to do that. There we go, that's a better angle. Sometimes you just gotta fiddle with it. There we are. Right. You're probably gonna need to turn the brightness down. Can you see how I've divided that teeth? Yeah?
I think he needs the corners of his mouth.
Oh, we're going to redo all the mouth with the lips. That's the thing. But you got to get the teeth in. If you try and get the teeth in... Yeah.
Those after the mouth.
Yeah. just
Sorry, I should stop interrupting.
do a bit of... Now we've got that in, we're going to just do some reshaping around. So we've got that top lip palette, so the triangle that sits there, and bring the corners up because we're going to put ellipse on it, but it needs to be able to be the right shape. So let's bring this down a bit, shape out a chin a bit more like this, bring that down, bring that up. So just play around with your clay until you get the definition that you want. I'd say that looks a little better. What do you reckon? Don't forget we're putting lips over the top to hide all that around the edge. We're just getting the actual skin shape. Let's make that face a little thinner, a little more prominent. Like that. That looks more correct. Just trying to bring out that chin because he's got a very undefined chin at the moment. Like that. Yeah? Oop, down a bit. There we go. Like that. Yeah? So now let's get some lips on. Right, I mixed up. I'm going to do the hair and ears next week. Don't worry. I mixed up 2 pinks, so it depends. I think that's a bit bright. What I started with was the skin colour and then added more magenta. So let's do the bottom lip first. I reckon that should be enough. Roll a ball. Then bring the ball out like a bottom eyelid. So into little points in the corners. But the middle's slightly thicker. See? Like that. That's the shape you're wanting. And we're going to start in the middle. Whoop. And come out towards the corners. Like so. That's quite a thick lip. I might take this off and actually bring it down slightly smaller than that. Now I put it in place. So just take what I do when I decide I want to shrink it down. I take a bit off each of the ends and then form it up from that. Whoop. It's so hard when you work on really small stuff. It really is. So I think that's better. Right. The really, really miniature stuff. And people make things smaller than this. I don't understand how their hands actually do it and not just get right in the way.
Tools exclusively, and they must have to put it on something.
It must be.
To hold it while they work on it.
It must be a tools exclusively thing, I suppose. So let's just bring this up. I've ended up with it slightly too short, so I'm just dragging the corners up and into place. That's the good thing about clay, is you can really, you're the one telling it what to do. It's not telling you. You don't need none of that madness. There we go. Right, bottom lip.
You definitely need a top lip.
Yeah, he definitely needs a top lip, but do you see what I mean? Just by adding lips on.
He's doing Beavis.
Yeah, he's like, ew. Right, let's get a top lip going. Top lip. Taking another ball. Now the top lip is almost the same, but with a little added extra step to it. So first you're gonna make sure it's the right size. That's still a bit wide, so let's get rid of some of that clay. It's far easier measuring the clay against the model than it is trying to actually measure stuff once you get to these sorts of stages. Right, that's the shape, the same shape again. Once you've got it in place, actually let's do this on my hand, it'll be easier. Put it over your thumb, decide where the middle is, then you're going to come in with your actual needle tool, but you're not using the point, you're using the edge, and you're just going to indent in that middle bit like that. See? And that brings you that top lip shape. So then when you put that in place, it looks far more correct. Like that. That's slightly long. Let's get my blade and take it off. There. That's better. See? Now we just got to shape the corners so it looks like he's laughing. That's far too big a ball tool to do that with, Carly. Let's come in, push you down like this, and I want these corners to come up into a smile so he looks like he's laughing. And for that you are just literally going to come with your ball tool and bring the corners up and sideways so that they look smiley. See? Now I think that mouth is still a little bit too closed for me. Let's see, can I come in with this and bring that down a bit, bring those forward a bit, like that. Does that look like more of a happy face? Now, I'm probably going to put a bit more definition around the neck, like that. That sort of shape, but that's where I'm going with. So I've got facial hair to do, I've got head hair, and I've got ears to do. All that I think will be next week actually. So I hope this has been useful. I'll have a fiddle around with it. Once I've got it entirely perfect, I'll bake it up and I will carry on next week. So I hope this has all been useful. I hope you all have a great week. If you like my stuff, do like, share and subscribe and all that stuff. It really helps build the channel and helps me know that you actually want to see what I'm making. Alright, thanks very much. See you next week. Bye.